So I'm sitting here on the runway in Seattle right now, and it looks really awesome. This is sunset. I'm getting 38 frames. I know the frame counter is probably out of your sight. I don't know why. For some reason, it goes way up at the top of the my view, and then it's out of the recording. But right now, believe me, it's saying 37, 38 frames. And what I'm seeing out my window here and around me is really, really nice looking right now. So let's see, I've not ever flown around Seattle before, actually. It'll be a first for me. And it's sunset, so we got sunset in Seattle. And I discovered that having a window here is very handy if your seat is set up right for taking off. You just got to make sure you get it closed in time before you overstress your aircraft and damage it. Yeah, it's not the best way to do it, it's just a fun way to do it. So right now my frame counter says 35, 36, 35, and I can't remember if I mentioned this or not, but showing the frame counter in the headset actually probably costs you a frame. And then recording in the headset, which is how I do my recording, also costs a couple of frames. So right now it's saying 34, 35. And like I said, I've never really flown around Seattle before, so I don't know what's up here for complexity. I know they got that big Space Needle thing up here someplace. And of course I'm in the Staggerwing again because I'm just loving this plane. I think I'm going to lower my seat. Too much there. Okay. So I'm looking down at this scene here and my frame counter is saying 33, 34. But again, as I mentioned in the update to my settings, I now have the synchronous space warp within the virtual desktop app enabled, and that is making it a much smoother flight. So even with the frames changing a little bit from 33 to 35, I'm not noticing, I'm not seeing like a little skip when it changes, I'm not seeing any little stutters. It is definitely smoother with the synchronous space warp enabled. Oh, that must be the Space Needle down there. Is my gear up? Yeah, my gear up. Okay. And I don't actually need my panel lights anymore, but I will if the sun goes down a little bit. Oh, CenturyLink Field. Now I can read that very, very clearly right now.
Boeing Tower Beechcraft, November Charlie 1413 frequency change.
33, 34 frames per second is what my frame counter says right now. Let's see, I'm traveling at, what about 182? Okay, 180, I think. Oh, there it is. This is Space Needle. So, what the heck is that big one over there, I wonder? Gonna change my angle of attack a little bit, get a little slower. So, the key to flying the Staggerwing is that RPM wants to be on the 0. And so as you change your power up and down, oh, look at that, huh? Oh, I gotta go around this and see this in the sunset. Frame rate right now says 36. My frame counter, 34. So, and I can see the detail on this very, very nicely right now. Yeah, it's really, really sharp and clear. This is probably the best I've seen some city buildings, at least at keeping this frame rate. But yeah, so see, so now I've changed my power, and you can see my RPM went down, so now I need to adjust my prop again to bring that back up. And add a little more power. So, let's get a view of this needle in the sunset here. Get down a little bit lower and fly towards it here into the sunset. Yeah, frame counter 33, 34, still 34. Ah, that's nice. Oh man, that looks so nice. Wow. Okay, now I think I saw a couple tiny little stutters there, but it really was barely noticeable as I got close to that. But the frame rate stayed pretty much 34, 35 as I just went past the Space Needle. Okay, I'm assuming that's a artifact of incorrect height or something missing in the scenery there. So Seattle, very pretty place. Very pretty place. Frame counter 36 right now. I love flying. I just love flying. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have this right now in my life. I mean, I've always wanted to fly. As long as I can remember, I've been addicted to airplanes. Oh, we're passing the outer marker for the runway over there. My younger brother too, he's like me. And I have taken some private pilot license training. I have probably about 8 hours, I think, of lessons, but that was almost 20 years ago now, so I'd probably have to start fresh, but I mean, I don't think I would have issues with it because I've been flying for a long time. But this just, I mean, virtual reality. I'm sitting in an airplane, I'm flying in Seattle. I've been all over this world now. And I mean, I've barely seen a tenth of it too, so it and it's just getting better and better and better. So right now my frame rate counter says 38, 39 at this point with what I'm looking at, and the scenery, like, you know, way out there, yeah, it's hazy, but you know, it might look like that in the real world anyways at this time of night with my eyesight. But what I'm seeing here, you know, in the foreground and in the middle ground is really pretty nice. And yeah, I'm looking at 36, 37, so we'll see if it stays there as I'm landing. So let's get the landing lights on. And let's start bringing the speed down here. I notice that cranes everywhere look kind of funny. They're solid objects, but they really did a nice job with all the cargo containers that are in some of these places. So we took off on the little runway to the left here, so I'm going to try and put it down on that. It's a short runway, and I've actually been having some difficulties getting this thing down to a speed where it's not bouncing. It's kind of, I think I'm trying to land it like a tricycle, and you can't do that. It's a tail dragger, and But it's been giving me a hard time for sure to get that speed right on it. I wish I could find some manuals on it. I know there's somebody online that claims to be selling, you know, downloadable versions, but I'd like to see some of it before I actually purchase it. I'm a little bit high. Now those lights to the right of the runway are obviously for the big strip, but I can make out my lights, which are to the left of my runway, and I'm not high, I'm actually low, I should say. So I'm not gonna let it drop too quickly, but speed. Alright, I can get my flaps down now. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Okay, there we go. White and a red. So we're on the right path now. Just gotta get my speed down and not bounce this thing. Alright, so yeah, so just one light here on each side. One white, one red. So we'll stay on this path. Frame rate counter is 30 right now, 31. Whoops, a little low, little low, little low. Little low, little low. Alright. Okay, there we go. Okay. So I didn't bounce it there. That's good. I'm happy with that. And now, taxi here. Go ahead and get the head out the window, and I love that I can see the bolts sticking through this. Look at it, I can see the head of the bolt and the nut. That's unbelievable. Yeah, having a window that you can stick your head out must have been the way to do this, because it makes it substantially easier to manipulate this plane on the ground, being able to stick your head out the window. So there you go, Seattle at sunset in the Staggerwing. I love this plane. And it even comes in my favorite color, yellow. Alright, let's stop here, yeah, because that sun's going down. Alright, pull the head in here. Brake on. Flaps up. And mixture to cut off. The engine stopping is nice on this too. The propeller has a very realistic spin and stop. And lights off. Yeah, avionics off.